Hello everybody and welcome to Projection 3D version 5 video tutorial. Here I will show you all the changes and new features of the 5th version. As you can see, the UI has completely changed, so let's look at everything in order. Before we get started, it should be noted that Projection 3D can now be found by going to Window/Extensions. All right, so first of all, let's talk about some of the basic things and see how Projection 3D actually works. So it always starts with an image. As soon as we decide to bring that image to life, we first imported it into After Effects, then we match camera with that image. I click Match Camera, and as you can see, the plugin tells us that we need to enter a name. So let's type the name and click Match Camera again. Now the plugin offers us to create a project. Click Yes and specify the directory where you want to save the project. The project name is already entered, so I just click Save. After saving the project, the F-Spy window opens immediately. As you know, F-Spy is a free camera matching software that allows you to match your camera with very high precision. We recommend downloading F-Spy for quick and easy camera matching. Okay, let's drag F-Spy window to make it smaller, and as you can see, we also have the project folder open. Just drag the F-Spy project file to F-Spy window. And yeah, our image is already there. We just need to match the lines. Let's first match the X-axis lines. Then Y-axis lines. And that's it. Let's save the work we've done. Now close the F-Spy window and go back to After Effects. As you can see, everything we did in the F-Spy window was automatically exported to After Effects. But notice that the grid is slightly higher than the floor in the image. In general, the camera is already matched and we can already work. But to make it more convenient for us, let's fix this. Click here to reopen the project folder, then open F-Spy project file. Unfortunately, F-Spy can't open project file with double click, so I just drag and drop it here. Here, everything is the same as we left it. To fix the grid position, click here and choose XY grid floor and just drag it down. That's it, save and close. To apply the changes, click here on this small dark blue place on the button and select Reload Camera. That's it. Of course, I could have immediately corrected the grid position and not opened F-Spy a second time, but I did it on purpose to show you how you can reopen a project and make changes if you are not satisfied with something. If for some reason you don't have F-Spy, then you can match camera manually. Enter the name and click Camera Match. Then Create Project, Save. And after these actions, the plugin will warn you that the F-Spy application is not found and will switch to manual camera matching mode. That's it. Match the camera by pressing Alt on the keyboard and using the mouse buttons. Also, if you have the F-Spy app, but you don't want to use it, just click it here and select Match Camera manually, can agree to create a project or refuse as you wish. The plugin will switch to manual camera matching mode in both cases. Okay, we're done with camera matching. Let's move on to creating the projection. For convenience, I will match the grid with the image so that using the grid parameters, I can quickly and easily create the environment. Done. Hide the grid, select the camera and image and click Create Projection. Here, nothing has changed compared to previous versions. The name is already entered, select how many projection scenes we need, and click OK. As you can see, the plugin window has changed, and now here we see the structure of our project. This is the master scene, the main composition of our project, where all the projection scenes are. There are also located in the plugin window at the bottom of the master scene. We also have a new scene here called 3D models. Here will be objects converted to OBJ format, then projection scene 1 and projection scene 2. You can open them with one click and quickly switch between them. Okay, now let's move on to the projection menu. I'll open the old version to make it clearer. So this is the projection menu, and in the new version, it's located here. See? Add scene, update legacy project, scene duration, and resolution. And the projection image menu functions are now simply displayed at the top of each scene. It is very convenient and fast. You don't need to separately select the desired scene. See? Everything is in place. Let's take a closer look. As you know, by clicking Add Scene, you can add new projection scene if it's needed. Then comes Update Legacy Project. It will help you update your old projects or just rename the master scene. Next one is Scene Duration. Using it, you can increase the scene duration. And the last one is Resolution, which increase the scene resolution. In general, this feature is no longer needed. We left it only for users whose computers do not support advanced 3D renderer. Since OBJ models already have high-resolution textures, there is no need to increase their resolution. Okay, let's move on. If you click on this little triangle, you will see the name of the master scene. But if you have more than one master scene, you will also see the names of the others and will be able to switch between them. Let me show you. Click New to create a new projection and quickly repeat all steps that we did before. Just close it. No need to match camera. Click Create Projection. Okay, let's see. Now, as you can see, we have two master scenes with their subscenes. Also, if you click the new icon, but change your mind about creating a new projection, you can return to the previous projection scene by clicking the Reload Scene button. Okay, we've sorted that out. Let's move on. Before we continue, I'll quickly create the environment of our scene. Click on this grid icon on the top menu, uncheck left and check right, then click Create Surface. As you can see, all parts of the surface exactly repeated the grid position. That's why we adjusted the grid position. So camera menu in the new version is located between the master scene and the projection scenes. It contains the same features as the old version. Default view, one node camera, create target. Remove target is no longer needed. I'll show you why later. Insert camera and stabilize 3D match move remained where they were. Default view, as you already know, allows you to return the camera to its original position. Create target function allows you to create a target for the camera oriented toward the selected object. This way you can orbit the camera around the target you created. In the old version, you can find this feature here. To remove the target, simply click on this icon that appears next to the camera icon. In the same way, you can add filters to sharpen the projection or add noise and remove with one click. Next one is one node camera. We need to select a camera before we can use this function. Done. Now we have a camera without a target. And here on the right side of the camera icon, it is displayed as an icon of the number 1. To remove the feature, select the camera and remove by clicking on the icon. That's it. Very convenient, isn't it? Now let's see what conveniences the updated projection image menu provides. This is our environment scene, and we don't need this ball here. Let's erase it from this scene. Click here and select Open in Photoshop. By using Remove tool, I quickly get rid of it. And done. Let's save it. Type the name and save. Now click on Replace button and choose the image we just created. That's it. Now we have a clean environment. As you can see, there is no need to search for the location of the projection image and do unnecessary actions. All the necessary functions for working with it are displayed on top of each scene. Now let's move on to the Quick Access panel. The first one is the OBJ menu, but we'll talk about it separately later. Next one is Generate Plane from Points. As you know, it allows you to create a plane on the generated position. In the old version, it located in the Tools menu, but it's used very often, so we moved it to the Quick Access panel. Next come the primitives, and then Anchor Point Editor. Then comes Generate Menu. In the old version, it located here, and Bounding Box Menu in the new version you can find here. Next comes the Helper Grid, which is also a very frequently used feature. Next one is Project Folder, which allows you to open your project folder with one click. And the last one is Reload Scene. We already talked about it. Okay, let's move on and quickly go through the top menu. And the first one is Import Image/3D Model. As you remember, using this feature, we can import the image and place it on the generated position. Like this. Now you can also import 3D models and place them on the generated position. See? Exactly in that place. I'll move the camera so you can see from the other angle. As you can see, this is a full 3D. You can add environment light so that it integrates into the scene and casts a shadow, but there are already many tutorials about this, so we move on. Next one is Export OBJ. Using it, we can export objects from our scene to 3D software. Here the interface has simply been updated and you can export an object or scene in original size, that is, the After Effects size, or choose another one, and then the object will be reduced and exported to a size compatible with most 3D editors. In the old version, you could export an object in its original size, or reduced by 10 or 100 times. The next one here is Export Camera. Updated the interface, the sizes, and here you can choose the 3D software. This is how it looked in the old version. Next comes Import Camera F-Spy. As before, it imports the camera as a JSON file. And the last one is water animation. This is a new feature and we talk about it separately. Move on to the Tools menu. We have Modeling Toolkit here. This is the same toolkit. It contains all the modeling tools. Next comes 3D Object Converter. This is a completely new tool with which we will convert our projected objects into 3D models. We will talk about it later in a separate section. Next comes Displace tool, also a completely new tool. It creates 3D models using a depth map. We'll study in a separate section. And the last one is Bend. We are already familiar with this. Okay, next comes Utilities menu. Nothing has changed here. The same utilities, so nothing to show. In the Camera menu, as I have already shown, there are only tools left for integrating the live action footage into our 3D scene. The last one is Library. You can collect all your projects in it. Speaking from my own experience, this is a very convenient thing. All projects are always at hand. You don't need to search for anything, and they open with one click. As you can see, the projects we created during this tutorial are already been automatically added to the library. To add your old projects, click on this plus sign, find the project you need and just double-click on it. I scroll down, and as you can see, it's added. If the image is missing, click on this plus sign in the upper left corner and just add it. Now we can click on it and open. And done. Notice how many objects there are in this scene. It's a whole street. And look how easily I move the camera. Amazing, right? Look at this magnificent scene. It's just fabulous. Okay, let's not get distracted. I also want to show you quick camera views. Let's say we're working on this dome and we need a closer look at it. I just select it and click on this camera icon. And we have a closer view of the selected object. You can orbit around it, look it from different angles. To get back to active camera mode, simply click here. Then comes the top view and custom view. All right, that's it. We're done with the UI. Okay, in this section, we will get a detailed look at the 3D Object Converter. This is a tool that will greatly simplify and speed up your work. Using it, we will convert our projection, which works as light falling on the surface, into a real 3D model with a texture. So let's take a look at the tool window. This tool uses Blender for background process, therefore we have to synchronize. This green dot shows that I already have it synced with Blender. If it's red, then click on the icon and synchronize it. You can click Yes for test running to make sure the synchronization is successful, so we are synchronized and the tool is ready to work. Let's convert our environment into 3D. Select all the environment parts, enter the name and click Convert to OBJ. And it's done. Let's take a look. As you can see, it's slightly distorted. This is because the environment surface is large and the created 3D mesh is not dense. Therefore, we must increase mesh density and reduce the surface. Look, the surface goes beyond the composition. We only need those areas that are inside the composition. To get rid of unnecessary areas here, we have an option, Mask Non-Projected Areas. Click OK next to it. That's it, we mask the unnecessary. Now we need to increase the mesh density. This can be done using model smoothing option. For the environment surface, I recommend increase this value. Always set it to 8. Let's make 3D again and replace the old one. Now, as you can see, it looks fine. Let's take a look around using camera. Excellent, isn't it? Notice how easily I move the camera. Let's compare. This is the projection. See the difference? And this is the OBJ model. Much faster than the projection. Okay, that's it. Remember, you have to subdivide the geometry if it's too large so that the texture doesn't get distorted. So now you know how to convert projection into a 3D model. Now I will show you what these three options are for. And yes, you can also open 3D Object Converter as a part of UI by clicking on this plus sign. But this is a simplified version, and these three options are missing. Although they are rarely needed, and you don't need to open the tool separately. Okay, let's figure it out. First one is Use Source Image. If this option is checked, it instructs the tool to use the original projection image as the source texture for creating the 3D model. This means that the 3D model will be directly based on the texture and data contained within that image. If you edit the image in Photoshop and save it by replacing the original projection image, you need to leave this option checked. But if you edit the projection image in After Effects using Mask or Clone Stamp tool, then this option must be unchecked so that the tool uses the image edited in After Effects for creating 3D model. Let me show you in practice. Let's quickly create a surface for the ball. Using Helper Grid, I create a floor to generate the ball position. Great. Now let's use the sphere primitive to create a ball. Adjust the position using Anchor Point Editor. Okay, now let's scale it to cover the entire ball. And done. Now we can convert it into 3D. For this object, we can reduce the model smoothing value since it already has a lot of polygons. Can set it 3 or even 2. Type the name and make it 3D. Great, let's take a look. Looks nice, but as you can see here on the edge, we've covered also the part of the environment. To get rid of unnecessary areas, we use the Clean Edges utility. Remember? To do this, we separated the ball from the background in Photoshop and save as PNG with Alpha Channel or mask the ball in the source image in After Effects. This time, let's do it in After Effects. Click here to open Projection Image Source. Now let's quickly mask the ball. And done. So you can see that now only the ball projected on the surface, the rest turned white. Let's make it 3D, but this time I'll uncheck this. Replace the old one, and look, just a clean ball, nothing else. And look how fast the camera moves, just amazing. As you can see, 3D Object Converter used the image we just masked as a texture. To make sure of this, let's mark this option again and create a model. As you can see, unwanted edges are back again. This means that the tool used the source image from the project folder to create the texture. So uncheck this option if you edit the projection image in After Effects. We can also edit the projection image using Clone Stamp tool. Let's say I want to write something here. Good, the changes have come into effect. Uncheck this option if it's checked and make 3D model again. And yeah, all the changes have been applied to the model. Well, I think everything is clear with this option. Let's move to the second one. Convert polygon to triangles. In most cases, to display the mesh correctly, we need this option. Say, if you create a complex surface with many angles, to convert it correctly, we need divide it to triangles. Polygons can be regular or irregular. Regular polygons would be converted correctly, but irregular ones will not. We recommend leaving this option checked, but if someone needs to create a model with quadrangular faces, then please, it's not a problem. Move to the third option. By default, all OBJ models are placed in the 3D model scene. If you check this option, then OBJ model will be created in the new scene. That's it. Now you know how to use the tool, so if you don't use these options, then you can close this window and use Tool from the main window. It is very convenient and does not interfere in any way. That's all. As you can see, this is a revolutionary tool. It will greatly speed up your workflow and make it easier. The difference is truly colossal. Look how it was before. It's very heavy. And look how it's simple now. Amazing. All right, we're done with this tool. Let's move on. So in this section, we will take a look at OBJ menu. As the name suggests, the functions in this menu are designed to work with OBJ files. So here we have OBJ models, and if I move the time indicator to the end of the composition, you will see that the bench is also displayed on the wall of the room. This means we need to erase it from the room texture. To do this, I have two options here: Replace Texture or Edit Texture. If you have edited the texture in advance and want to apply it, select Replace Texture. Then find it and apply. Click Yes if you want to delete the old texture. That's it. The wall has been cleared of unnecessary things. Now let's look at the second option, Edit Texture. We need to get rid of these objects. Click Edit Texture and wait a few seconds while it opens in Photoshop. Select Remove Tool and start erasing. Also here and here. That's it. Also, you can draw paint splashes on the wall if you want to. And done. Let's save it and close the Photoshop. As you can see, the texture has been updated automatically. Everything looks fine, and we also see splashes on the wall. If for some reason the texture is not updated, just click on the first option, Reload OBJ. By the way, you can also find this option in 3D Object Converter window and in the Displace tool window. Looks like that's all. What else can I show you in this section? Okay, so be it. I'll show you how to integrate 3D object into our scene. First, let's generate the position where we want to place the object. Then import the object. It's very big, need to reduce it to the size of the scene. Good, adjust a little bit. Nice. As you can see, it is placed correctly, and all that remains is to create lighting that matches the lighting in the scene and add shadow. So let's create a light. Choose environment light and make sure that cast shadows is checked. Click OK. Now we need to show the light the source image of our scene so that it takes the information from there and creates the desired lighting. So drag the source image to the composition window. Then under the light source settings, choose our image. That's it. Now our object is lighting properly. If it's necessary, you can increase the light intensity. You can also adjust the angle of lighting by using the transform properties. Like this, the light in our scene comes from here. All that's left is to add the shadow. Create a new solid. Make it 3D and rotate 90 degrees around the x-axis. Great, now copy the object position and paste it onto the solid. Adjust it. Now, if you're not seeing the shadow yet, go to the Renderer Options menu. Here we have Casting Box Size option. As you can see, it is far from the model, so we need to set the correct position parameters. As you can see, the shadow has appeared. You can also adjust the casting box size if it's necessary. And it's done. To leave only the shadow, open Solid Settings, Material Options, and set Accept Shadows Only. And we're done. Can pre-render and enjoy. All right, that's it. Let's move on to the next one. So in this section, we will explore Displace tool. As I said, this is a new tool that will help you create a 3D model using depth map. It can also be opened here in the main window, and it contains all the options just like separately open one. This tool also needs to be synced with Blender, so do that if the dot is red. Okay, so let's get started. Here we have the scene with the person. And if you turn the camera and look at the scene from the side, you see that it's 3D surface, not a flat solid. This is our task: convert flat surface into a 3D model using Displace tool. I disable the old one, and let's start from scratch. First thing we need to do is add a new scene, then open it and create a bottom plane to generate the position of this guy. If you mentally draw his legs, which are not visible in the frame, then he is standing somewhere here. Let's create a plane on that position. And we have to mask it like this. to select the area that we want to displace, otherwise the tool won't recognize it. Done. Now let's take a look. If I move the camera, you'll see that it's positioned exactly where it should be and moves correctly. But now we need to get rid of these unwanted places. To do this, let's replace the projection image. I already have a ready-made image here. I separated the person from the background in Photoshop and saved it as PNG with Alpha Channel. So I select this image and click OK. As you can see, the guy stayed, but the environment turned white. If I use clean edges, the white areas disappear, but the person will still remain flat. This is not what we need, so let's continue. Select the flat surface, and in Displace tool window, click Orient towards camera. Why this is necessary, you can see in the Revolve tool tutorial video, or check out the Spherize tool tutorial. Next, we need a depth map of our scene. To get it, search in Google, depth anything and hugging face, and open this page. Click here and select the image for which you want to get a depth map. Then just click Compute Depth. And done. Depth map is created. Click here and save it. Click on Depth Map button and choose the depth map that we just created. Great. Let's add more depth to the image using curves. Like so. You can also blur it so that the model becomes smoother. And done. Select both, type the name, and click Make 3D. And that's it. We created the model in the same place. If the displace strength is too high, it can be reduced along the Z-axis. Let's see how it looks from the side. Very well. You can even animate it and give it some simulated movement, like he raises his head and looks around with an appraising gaze. To do that, press R on the keyboard and add key on orientation value. Go forward on the timeline and rotate it along X and Y. Move forward further in the timeline and make changes again. Great, let's take a look. Great, we achieved what we wanted. As you can see, a flat model can be very quickly converted into 3D and make the scene more realistic. Okay, move on. Here's the same situation. We have a bottom plane, so let's generate the position of the house and create a plane. Then mask it. Orient the plane towards the camera. If you have already imported a depth map, it will be added automatically. Give some adjustment and make it 3D. Great, it's done. But if you look closely, you will see that the texture is slightly distorted. As we already know, to fix this, we need to increase the smooth value and make 3D again. And now it looks fine. Everything is clear here. Let's move on. You can also displace the entire scene if you want to. For example, here I have this sunflower image and I want to make it 3D. To displace the entire scene, change the Object Displace mode to Displace in the tool window, and then you can import map as we already did before. Or you can create a depth map using one of these depth math plugins if you have one of them. Just select and click OK, and it's done. can make some adjustment, give the name, and make it 3D. And the model is ready. So that's it. Now you are familiar with Displace tool. In this section, we will take a look at water animation feature. It will help us to get a realistic water surface with animated ripples that will reflect objects from our scene. So we have a ready-made scene here, but as you can see, there is no moving ripples and the reflection is distorted. Let's fix this. First, we need to convert the water surface to OBJ. This is my water surface. I drew the mask so that it covered only the water, but this is not necessary if it doesn't cover other objects. The main thing is that the water surface is where it is supposed to be. So I select it and open 3D Object Converter. The name must be water, otherwise nothing will work. Model smoothing option is not important for creating water, so set any value. And let's make 3D. And it's done. Now go to the master scene and apply water animation. As you can see, the entire scene was exported and opened in Blender. You can click play and make sure that the camera animation has been exported as well. Now if you click on this ball, you will see all the textures and the scene will look like normal. But notice that the water surface is no longer a texture, it has a water material applied to it. It's already animated, the ripples are moving. I'll move the camera to show it from different angles. See? The water is peacefully rippling, and the surface has exactly the size and shape that we gave it with the mask. But let's get back to After Effects. If you don't care what shape the water surface will be, then you don't need to create it. Let's delete this and apply water animation again. In this case, a plane will create it in Blender at position 000 with the water material applied to it. But then you will have to reposition it and change the shape if it's needed. In the case of this scene, I just need to push it down a bit. Yes, nothing else needs to be done. This is what it looks like from above. As you can see, this is just the default square plane. But the other one, which we masked in After Effects, covered only this part where the water should be. Okay, let's get back to our scene. If you're not satisfied about the speed or size of the waves, you can edit the material as you're liking. Go to the shading menu. So this is the water material by default. Using the scale value, you can decrease or increase the size of the waves. See? And now they are very small. The strength value will make the waves more expressive, or almost imperceptible. As you can see, now the ripples are very smooth, like a windless day on a lake. But we are satisfied with the default water settings here, so I leave it as is. And this value is responsible for the speed of water animation. If you click here in the bottom right corner and drag it up, a new window will open. Then click here and change the editor type to Timeline. Now we can see the animation keys. Go to the end of the animation. So if you want to speed up the waves, then increase the value. Right-click and choose Replace Keyframes. Now they are moving very fast. You can also increase the animation duration. By default, it lasts 5 seconds. Set here how many frames you need, then just drag the keys to the desired frame. So we've sorted out the settings. Now it's time to start rendering the water. To do that, just go to the Render menu and click Render Animation. But first, let's look at the render settings. Here you can select the device that will render the animation. By default, it's the CPU. But if you have a powerful GPU with CUDA support, you can switch to GPU compute. If it's not active, go to Edit, Preferences, then switch to the System tab. And here you can select CUDA or Optics if you've got NVIDIA card, Heap if you've got an AMD. Now if you check the render properties, the device will be active. Now the animation will render much faster. If I change shading mode to Render Preview, you will see that only the water surface will be rendered. The rest of the scene will be hidden. Click Render Animation. When the render is finished, get back to After Effects. Click here to open Project Folder. As you can see, a folder called Water Animation has appeared here. Simply drag it to the project window, then to the composition window. And that's it. Now we have animated water, and notice that it only covers the water surface. You can do some color correction if needed, and the scene is ready. Can pre-render and enjoy. As you can see, the result is excellent. Nothing is distorted, and the water rippling peacefully. Well, that's all about this update. Enjoy new possibilities and take your works to the next level. Thank you for being with us, and I hope to see you next time.